Okay, here we have the first coat applied. It hasn't even really been a minute yet, and you can see it's almost fully evaporated. And I believe part of that is we got the heat too high in the booth, so I turned the heat down. Now we're going to fire the fans back up and apply a second coat. The gun didn't seem to be spraying as wet as I would like, so I backed the fluid tip needle out, possibly about half a turn. So we'll spray a full second wet coat. See, it's really starting to darken up, and on the opposite side of the shell we pay real close attention to our overlap on our spray pattern to make sure it's even on the top side. And we'll go ahead and pause this, turn the fan back on so we can get some evaporation going. Okay, here we have 5 full wet coats of stain applied. I let it bake for a while. Typically you would want to let this dry overnight for all the water and alcohol to evaporate. However, here we got bake facilities, so I baked this for about 20 minutes, and it's nice and dry to the touch. I don't believe there's any water or solvents in this alcohol, so we're ready for clear. This next clearing process, which is the first round of clears we put on the shell, are very, very critical. The purpose of this round of clear coating is to fill in the wood grain and to seal the stain to the wood. And when we do this, it's going to take a lot of clear for a very high build in order to not only to fill in the wood grain, but we're going to have to sand this shell smooth after it's cleared. And when we sand that smooth, we don't want any low spots, which would show up as shiny, in order to get that filled in. And we also have to have some extra on top, because we definitely do not want to go through that clear. Once you go through that clear, you start getting into the purple stain in the wood, and it's going to change the color most definitely. So you want to make absolutely sure you get a very high build of clear coat on this first round of clear. Very critical, and I'll show you what kind of clear we're going to use. Okay, here's what we're going to use to get this high build, and we're using DuPont clear here, and this is some of the best stuff on the market. There's other painters out there that would argue with it, but this is my story. I'm sticking to it. I know what works. And what we have here is 72500S. This is Chroma Premier, which is their top of the line premium appearance clear. Extremely good stuff. And this is mixed at a ratio of 2 parts clear to 1 part activator, which is the 12303S. We're using 12303 here because we want minimum flash times in between coats. If we were doing something large, wanted it real slick, we'd use 12305S. And then for our reducer, we're using 12375S, which is a medium reducer. And this is mixed 10%. So we got 2 to 1 to 10%. We mix that in our DuPont cup, which is all marked here, 2 to 1 to 10%. We just fill it up to the line here, what number we want. Say 4, and then we add the 303 to number 4, and then we go to 4 with our reducer. And to spray this clear, we're using a soda jet, another soda. This is a clear gun. This is an RP Digital, and a very, very good gun. You might not have access to this type of tools, but I guarantee you can get pretty doggone good results with a decent Craftsman spray gun. And just because it's top of line equipment, it's okay. I mean, it's great stuff, but you can do the same as far as something as small as a drum with, say, a good Craftsman spray gun. So we'll go ahead and mix this clear, and we'll be ready to start our first coat. Okay, here we're ready to mix. We have our paint gun hanging over here with 2 paint filters. We're going to filter that just in case there's any type of, say, hardened particles that may have came off the caps here that has gotten in our mixing cup. That gets filtered out when it goes into the gun. So we got our 72500S, 1 part or 2 parts. Fill that up to the 5 line. Then our 12 303 is 1 part. Then our 12 375S reducer is 10%, which is calculated here on the measuring cup. You just want to mix this real good. Pull from the bottom. For those that don't paint often, never ever stick clear in a can and put it on the paint shaker. It'll be so full of air bubbles, it'll probably get hard before you get rid of all the bubbles. Clean our stick off, and it goes in a fireproof container. Or a strainer. And we didn't quite use all of that.
Giggity giggity, giggity goo. Stick around.